So the 2016 Ghostbusters trailer has released, and I have mixed feelings to this. Now, I know right off the bat that I'm being biased because I love the first two movies. More so the first one. The first one is one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time. It's hilarious, and I just grew up with it. So I already feel that I'm being a little bit biased there, but I'm trying not to be. When I heard that they were going to make a new Ghostbusters movie, I would have preferred an actual sequel to the first two movies with the original cast. And we did kind of get that with the Ghostbusters video game. It's all the characters, they all look like they do, and they all came back to voice the characters. The story is okay. The Ghostbusters go to hell. It's pretty interesting. This would have been a great, I think, if they would have written it specifically for a movie and done a little bit more tidying up with it. It would have been a pretty good movie. As a video game, it's pretty awesome. Now, the problem is being right now is that they couldn't have done an entire movie because the guy that made an entire third movie at this point, like 2016, because the guy that played Egon has passed away. And Bill Murray just apparently really didn't want to make another Ghostbusters movie, although he apparently has a cameo in this. I don't understand. The whole Bill Murray fiasco is a little bit different. So I on the one hand, I do understand that they couldn't have really made a true third movie at this point in time. But they ended up going an all-female cast. And I'm perfectly fine with this. But I would have chosen different actresses. In my opinion. And I'll get to who I would have picked up afterwards. So when I first heard about this, I was like, Melissa McCarthy was my biggest roadblock. I detest Melissa McCarthy movies. I don't like her humor. She's just not funny to me. So right there, I was like, this is not going well. And then they had two unknowns. So I was like, well, there's no real reason for me to be excited. They're making a new Ghostbusters movie. None of the original cast is coming back other than cameos from what I gather. And I only really like Kristen Wiig. The other two unknowns, I don't know anything about them, so there's no hype there. And Melissa McCarthy I hate. So there's really a lot of negatives for me going into this. The trailer released, and a lot of the humor in Ghostbusters I find is subtle humor. It's not physical comedy. It's not, overacting and just like throwing your hands up in the air and screaming. And that's a lot of what Melissa McCarthy does. And in the trailer, she gets possessed by a ghost. And it's very over the top. And the girl that goes over top of her, slaps her and she's yelling and screaming. And to me, there is room for that comedy, obviously, but that's not Ghostbusters comedy. And it just seems as though they wanted to make a Ghostbusters movie, and they very much Hollywoodized it. As in, they're continuing a big franchise and producing it the way that they think will do well. And it's just like cheap comedy, if that makes sense. So for me, I'm like, right off the bat, now I'm like, okay, I already didn't think it was a good idea with Melissa McCarthy, and now I'm being proven just from the trailer that so far, I'm not getting the feel of Ghostbusters. They also, I think that they could have done a lot better of a job with the trailer had they used the actual Ghostbusters song instead of kind of the remix. The remix wasn't necessarily bad, but it's not the original song. And then I feel that music is a big part in movies. You think of any big movie, they usually have a theme song or some kind of score that plays, and you're like, oh, that's so good. And I remember that when I hear it. The Jaws music, the music from Star Wars, the Ghostbusters theme song, even the Batman from the 1960s TV show. There's just all these things that are associated with movies. The Inception soundtrack, the Interstellar soundtrack. When you hear these music themes and they're going with the movie, they really add, I find. And they didn't use the Ghostbusters song to really elevate this trailer and be like, holy shit, the Ghostbusters are back. It's a new cast, but the Ghostbusters are back. They only kind of used it once in one scene where they kind of show up and they all have their proton packs on their back and it's like just slime everywhere. They enter this like hall, I guess. And then that scene, I was like, that kind of looks like Ghostbusters. That kind of looks cool. And I will say that when they were using the proton packs and they're like busting them out, that was kind of cool. I didn't really like Melissa McCarthy punching something because I just generally don't like Melissa McCarthy. And I also felt that when they all kind of stood in a row and they were shooting their proton packs, they were all doing these big, overacting faces. And I don't feel that in the original Ghostbusters, they kind of, they're freaking out because they're using the proton packs, but they didn't go They were like, holy crap, these things are powerful. And like when is it Dan Aykroyd? Yeah, when he first has his proton pack turned on, they kind of like just move to the side of him, but they're not doing anything. They're not over exaggerating, and that's a big thing that I think that they're missing from this trailer. Obviously, the movie can be completely different, and we're just seeing these scenes, and they have nothing to do with the overall feel to this movie. I'm just giving you my impressions, and I'm really not liking a lot of the things that I'm seeing. I loved seeing Slimer back for like a few seconds. I love the little quick cameo that they showed of the guy that plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth. It was only for 2 seconds, but it looks interesting. And I will say that, okay, Melissa McCarthy did not impress me. The other big black girl didn't impress me. Kristen Wiig, I do generally like, but she is playing the same character that she generally plays in comedies. So I'm not super excited about that because it's nothing that we haven't seen before. But there was the other character that was kind of like the girl that has to do with the wig and the hat. That was okay. I actually like her the most out of the entire cast that I've seen just from this trailer. Which is interesting because she's a complete unknown, and I only saw her for a few seconds. When she said the hat thing, I actually kind of laughed. So that to me was a good indicator. That's pretty much it about the trailer that I wanted to talk about. But if I was doing this movie and I wanted to do an all-female cast, which is perfectly fine, I would have gone a different route in terms of the actresses, and I would have gone with a younger cast that would mimic more something of a Pitch Perfect vibe, as in I would have Anna Kendrick, I would have Jennifer Lawrence, I would have Emma Stone, Emma Watson, the girl from Kick-Ass, I can't remember her name, Chloe something. I think that I would have gone with just a different approach, and I would have gone with actresses that are not just comedians. And I guess, to an extent, I mean, the Ghostbusters, the original cast, they're mainly just comedians, like they do comedy movies. But they had a lot more substance to them. Kristen Wiig can pull that off. And the unknowns I don't know about. Melissa McCarthy, from what I've seen, she can't. So I don't know. I think that I would have enjoyed it more with a different cast, and also the director. I enjoyed Bridesmaids, but I don't like the view that he's going with this new series. So I think that a different director would have helped too. Maybe different writers as well. I know that Dan Aykroyd might have helped out. I'd have to look into that, but I'm really afraid because I really would like to enjoy a new Ghostbusters movie. And I just think I would have preferred the original cast. But since we can't get that, I would have gone with a different female cast. And obviously, there was rumors about Channing Tatum and who's the other guy there? The guy that plays Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. Why am I forgetting his name? I feel like an asshole now. Chris something. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the new Ghostbusters trailer. I'm not super excited at all, but maybe it'll be better than the trailer was. So anyway, thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Beardage.